Oh boy, are you ready? This is Strictly Strings, page 24. It's an exciting page. You know why? You get to learn eighth notes. What are those? Well, I'm about to tell you. You know what half notes are, right? They get 2 beats. How about a quarter note? 1 beat? Definitely when you're in a time signature where the bottom number is a 4. Things will change as you become more experienced and you see more of music theory. But for now, yeah, quarter note gets 1 beat. Huh. Half note gets 2 beats. Huh. So let's start doing some basic math here, shall we? So here we go. Whoop. Half note. Okay, let's just spell that out like a fraction. All right, and that equals 2. Well, pretty quick little mathematical comparison here. If we have a quarter note, and it looks like so, and a quarter note equals 1, well, okay, that means a quarter note plus a quarter note equals a half note, because I'm pretty sure 1 plus 1 still equals 2 most of the time. Well, here's the new thing to learn. We just said half note. Half note. Okay, and then we said quarter note. Well, this one is 8th note. And it looks like this. You're gonna have a note head, you will have a stem, and then you will have a flag. That's what an 8th note looks like all by itself. Sad little fella. This is what it looks like when it's got a buddy. Pretty nice. It's got a bar that connects the 2 8th notes. Now, if we just think about what an 8th note might be, well, let's see. Quick math, kids. 2 8th notes equals a quarter when you reduce the fraction. That's right. So 2 8th notes is going to equal 1 beat for now with the time signatures that we know. Which means, if you look on top of page 24, you'll see a grid. That grid shows you 2 half notes, 4 quarter notes, and how many 8th notes? 8 of them! That's right, because we're doing some basic math. Now you also see something underneath those 8th notes. It's called subdivision. Sub meaning to take away, and division to divide. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our beat, and instead of going like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to keep the beat exactly the same, but these are quarter notes. And we want to count 8th notes, which means we use the letter and in between the numbers. That was a hard sentence for me to say. You ready? 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Wow. That's subdividing. Fancy word. And what you just counted were 8th note subdivisions. I'm going to play quarter notes. All right, now I'm going to play 8th notes. They're going to be exactly twice as fast. Pretty great, huh? And that's the new rhythm. So let's go ahead and take a look at page 24, number 1. If you look in the first measure, how many 8th notes do you see? I see 2 things with bars on it. Yeah, common confusion. Kids will say 2 sets of 8th notes. But what the question really is how many 8th notes are there? We have 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4 8th notes in the first measure. After those 8th notes, we have 2 quarter notes, 3 and 4 and. So let's just take a moment. Go ahead and clap this rhythm with me. You ready? 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Huh. Now I kept subdividing here just to show you that the 8th notes are always running through whatever rhythm we're playing. Sometimes we just actually clap them, and sometimes they're just embedded inside the other note values. Let's try it one more time. Ready and go. And 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you play it on piano, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You hear that sound sustains for the full quarter note, which, as you will remember, equals 2 8th notes worth of space, because 2 8th notes equals 1 quarter note. It's math, kids. It's math. So look at number 2. Are there 8th notes there? Yeah, but there's another thing. If you look at number 2, section C, you'll see this. 4 of them barred together. That's another way you might see 8th notes. So we have 3 different ways that we can see an eighth note. All by myself. Or, hey, best friend. Or, let's all go out and get some pizza. Single, double, or 4. This is how you're going to see them most of the time. Most of the time. Before we play some of these exercises, there's something else that we have to cover. First and second endings. Now, first and second endings are here because of history. Do you remember back in the 1700s where we didn't have YouTube? I'm not entirely sure how we lived, but we didn't have it back then. You know what else we didn't have? Lots of stuff like Ataris and other things that come from my generation. Well, one of the things it didn't have was, expo markers and readily available paper and copy machines. Didn't exist. So they came up with shortcuts so that they didn't have to write music over and over and over again. Because if I was going to write a piece of music for you in the year 1705, I'd have to write a whole copy for you. And if there are 10 people in the orchestra, I would have to write 10 versions of that instead of just being able to copy it real quickly or having them download it off of a cloud somewhere. So things happened. First and second endings were created. And what happens with a first ending is that the first time you play a piece, you'll do measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, and then if the first ending is in measure 4, there'll be a repeat sign after it. Look in the book. Do you see a repeat sign? I saw one. That repeat sign means go back to the beginning. All right, so we do measure 1 again, measure 2 again, measure 3 again, but the first ending we've already used. So we jump over the first ending and we go to the second ending. And that just saved the composer the time that it took to write 3 full measures. Now that might not seem much, but what if there's 80 people in the orchestra? 80 times 3, that's 240 measures. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of work. So first and second endings save time in composition. Great. That's all you have to deal with when you see this. You do have to train your eyes, however. So let's go ahead and practice it. This is page 24, number 1. We're going to say the note names. That way we can practice doing our rhythms and we can practice doing our first and second endings without having to worry about making sound on the instrument. You ready? Yep. Great. 1 and 2 and ready and go. And D, 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 E, F sharp, E, 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 F sharp, G, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G, A, first ending, A, F sharp, E, repeat back to the beginning, D, 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 E, F sharp, E, 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 F sharp, G, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G, A. Jump your eyes to the second ending, and we have D, A, D, rest, double bar, finished. Let's try counting the rhythms. So now we get practice saying our subdivisions, and we get to practice doing the first and second ending. Here we go. Ready? And go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and first ending and 3 and rest. Repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Jump to the second ending. 1 and 2 and 3 and rest and double bar. There you go. Subdivisions. We subtract, we divide, we make things smaller. Eighth notes, twice as fast as a quarter note. First and second endings. That's a lot of information. Number 2 is just practicing those things again. You're practicing quarter notes, you're practicing eighth notes, you're practicing repeat signs, you're practicing seeing notes in 2 groups and notes in 4 groups. That's what number 2 is. Number 3 practices those exact same things, but now we're adding the half note value. So if you have a half note, how many eighth notes are you going to have inside that half note? 4. Very good. Your mathematical skills are amazing. So if we had a half note, it would look like this. 1 and 2 and, in some invisible matrix that helps fill rhythm with time. So we wouldn't make these sounds, but we would certainly think those divisions. We would go 1 and 2 and all the way through until we get to the next beat. Now, if you look at number 3, conveniently, it's in 3/4 time, meaning we have 3 beats per measure and the quarter note gets the beat. So we're still living in a world that we understand. Let's go ahead and try page 24, number 3. We'll say the notes, we'll clap the rhythms. Here we go. 1 and 2 and say and clap. Go. D, 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 E, F sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, 2, 3. F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, G, A, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, A, D. It can be tough to feel that sense of pulse when you're doing long notes, so it can be very helpful to say the subdivisions. This time I'll play the notes on the piano while we count the rhythms. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3. 1, 2 and 3 and 1 and 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 2 and 3 and... And all we're doing in this video is introducing these ideas, but we're going to spend a little time focusing on the 2 tunes. First one, number 4. Ba Ba Black Sheep. Now in Ba Ba Black Sheep, you got some 4th finger A's. You learned that back on page 23. You've got all the notes on the D and the A string. You learned that on page 16, 17, 18, and 19. Then you've got pianos and fortes, which you learned back when you learned London Bridge, which was still falling down after all these years. Piano soft, forte meaning loud. And then of course the big new thing are all these 8th notes that you have to organize with your eyes. So let's start by saying the note names in rhythm. Here is Ba Ba Black Sheep, page 24, number 4. 1, 2, ready, and D, D, A, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, F sharp, E, E, D, A, 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 G, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, A, 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 G, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, D, D, A, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, F sharp, E, E, D. This next time, I'm going to say the note names, I'm going to clap the rhythms, so that you can see the physical act of clapping for all these quarter notes, half notes, and 8th notes. Ready? 1 and 2 and ready and go. And D, D, A, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, F sharp, E, E, D, A, 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 G, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, A, 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 G, 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 F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, E, D, A, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, E, Just like with all the other pages, you might need more repetitions saying the note names or clapping the rhythms. But if you feel like you'd start to like to put it on the instrument, well, a couple of reminders. Make sure as you do your fourth finger A, you are on the tips of your pinkies. Bring that elbow in, shoulders wide open and strong. Allow your body to be movable and flexible. Try not to lock any part of your body. Stay balanced. But if you feel like you're ready, you can do pizzicato, you can use your bow, whatever you think you need. You're the one practicing. Here is Ba Ba Black Sheep with the piano. 1, 2, ready, go. D, D, A, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, E, E, D, A. F sharp, E, A, A, G, 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 F sharp, E, D, D, A, B, 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 A, G, G, F sharp, E, E, D. You want to practice that over and over again? Just rewind it. You want to hear me make a mistake over and over again? Just rewind it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ba Ba Black Sheep. Take your time, think about those divisions, find where those eighth notes are, and make sure you're keeping track by subdividing. But if you feel like you're ready, let's hop on over to number 5, which is German folk song. Now, German folk song, that's a big one. It holds all of the notes from the D and the A string. So we have to feel very comfortable reading D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and high D. There are lots of eighth notes. There are fast string crossings, which means that our elbow has to be high enough to manage it. Before we play through this one, I think it's important to remember, this is for all string players, that if you're doing an F sharp to an A, notice that my elbow essentially stays at the same height. And that's because I have my bow at an angle where I can play both strings at the same time. If my elbow's in the right spot, it becomes very easy for my fingers and wrist to change strings between the D and the A string. If my elbow's too low, it becomes a little awkward. My elbow's too high, it becomes a little awkward. So find a place where you can play both strings comfortably, be balanced. You might want to practice that skill separately from the entire piece. You also have your first and second endings. That's right. How many measures of writing does it save? Only 3. But remember, if you're writing for 80 people, that's 240 measures of work that is saved because of the first and the second ending. So here's German folk song. First, we'll say the note names. 2, ready, and D, C sharp, B, A, B, C sharp, D, A, B, B, A, G, G, F sharp, E, A, F sharp, A, B, F sharp, A, B, D, E, F sharp, D, D, D. First ending, E, C sharp, high D, A, repeat, F sharp, A, B, F sharp, A, B, D, E, F sharp, D, D, D. Where to? The second ending, B, C sharp, high D. Lots of eighth notes in this one. So what are we going to do? Subdivide. That's right. I'm going to play the melody on the piano and I'm going to count the subdivisions out loud. You can either say the note names, you can count with me, or you can try clapping. Or go ahead and play along. You'll hear the melody and you'll hear the divisions. Whatever is helpful for you. Here we go. Ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 4 and. This is a long, awkward pause because my videos are so long. They go to sleep. Second line on F sharp. Ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and first ending 2 and 3 and 4. Repeat 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Second ending 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and done. All right, minus that awkward pause between the first and the second line, you had the opportunity to either clap along or to play along. Well, this time, the computer's ready, I'm ready. Here's German folk song with the piano. Instruments up. 1 and 2 and ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and second line 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and first ending 1 and 2 and 3 and repeat and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and second ending ready go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and done. It's a big page. That might take you a while to feel comfortable with, but those are all the skills that you need to learn on this particular page on Strictly Strings. First and second endings, eighth notes, all the notes in the D string. Well, keep practicing, because by the end of the day, you'll be a little bit better, and by the end of the year, if you do practice every day, you might be taller.